Good morning, afternoon, and evening from wherever you are joining us today. We welcome you all to our brand new show, Azure Load Testing. This is the fourth episode in a seven-part online series hosted by Bangalore Reactor team. My name is Rashmita and I am the event planner for Microsoft Reactor India. I'm here today joined by our very own host, Nikita. But before we start the session, I would request you all to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat section is open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. Our speaker will answer all your questions during the session, so please feel free to drop all your questions in the chat section. With this, thank you all once again and enjoy the session. Let me bring Nikita into the StreamYard.
Hi
Hey,
Rashmita,
hi Nikita. Over to you.
thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Nikita. I'm a product manager. I'm working at Microsoft and I work on Azure Load Testing. Today we are going to talk about how you can get ready for your holiday shopping season. What are the different types of tests that you should focus on? So let's get started. Uh, if you have been through the previous sessions, you would have heard about what Azure Load Testing is, how you can get started with Azure Load Testing using JMeter, and also you might have seen how you can integrate Azure Load Testing in CI/CD pipelines. Now we are going to talk about what are the different types of tests that you really need to focus on if you want to get ready for your holiday shopping season. So uh, I'll take you through the agenda for today's session. So we'll talk about why performance testing matters in the first place. Then we quickly take a brief introduction of what is Azure Load Testing, and then we delve into what are the different types of performance tests that you can do uh, to ensure your app is resilient. And then we talk about some other testing types and testing tools that are out there that also can help you in getting ready for the holiday shopping season. And then, yes, we'll take questions if there are any. Talking about why is performance testing important. First of all, a poor performance could lead to a poor user experience, and slow websites are not what users want. So it's very probable that if your website is slow, then the user who wants to interact with your website might not come back to your website if they don't have a good experience. So there's a problem in retention of users if or customers if your application is not performant. This also leads to revenue impact. So, for example, if you're a website and you have a sale for the holiday season, and you have users coming there to say purchase something, and then the performance is not very good, it could lead to drop offs and the customers not able to complete uh, their purchases. So this would lead to revenue impact for your business, and that is an issue as well. The third thing is that it's also performance is also directly related to brand reputation. So if your website or your application is slow, then it's very users generally feel that it's of inferior quality. So it's very important to make sure that the experience that they have with your application is good, to make sure that it also reflects with your brand identity and reputation. The next thing is the search engines and search engine optimization and search rankings that you see. All the search engines like Google, Bing, all of these do consider the speed of the page as well in ranking factor. So if you want to show up at the top of these search engines, then it's important that you have a good uh, page load times and make sure that your application responds well. The last thing that we have here is about planning. So So if you do performance testing and you want to make sure that you want to plan for a certain event, or you want to make sure that your system can handle certain loads, it's important to do performance testing and understand how much is required, how much capacity is required for your system to be able to handle the expected load. Moving ahead, you would have, I recommend looking back at the previous sessions. We had one entirely on Azure load testing and what are the capabilities of the product. But at a high level, I can just give you a brief overview. First thing is Azure load testing helps you generate high scale load with ease. So you can get started with just entering a URL, or you can give a JMeter's script and get started. You don't have to manage any infrastructure or any VMs or anything. Everything is taken care by the service. It spins up the required engines that will generate the load for you. So it's very easy to get started with. You also get very good dashboards, analytics about your client side metrics that JMeter reports, as well as the server side metrics if your application is hosted on Azure. So you get both views of your client and server side metrics, and that helps you correlate between what happened at the client side, what was the experience, and was there any performance issues at that time on the server side. So that helps you identify if there were any performance bottlenecks. The third thing is you can integrate these into your CI/CD systems. So it's important to load test early in the development cycle so that you can catch any performance regressions. And integrating into CI/CD workflows is one way to do it. It is highly recommended that you integrate it into your DevOps workflows. You can do it using the extensions that we have for Azure load testing on Azure DevOps and GitHub as well, or you can use Azure CLI if you're using any of the other CI/CD tools. Moving ahead, let's talk about what are the different types of performance testings that we are going to talk about in this session. So some of the load patterns is what we are going to talk about. Like, for example, you can do a step load test, you can do a spike load, then you can do breakpoint testing, and then you can also do soak test. These are some of the many types of testings, but these are some of the major ones that you should focus on, and we'll talk about the benefits of each of these and what you should focus when you are doing each of these types of testings, so that you can catch any issues early on. Let's start with step load testing. So step load testing is basically when you gradually increase the load in some steps, and at these different levels, you try to assess how was the behavior of your system. So basically, imagine a scenario where if you are an e-commerce website and you're like running a sale, and then there's a specific time when your sale starts, and before that you allow customers to come and add products in their wish list or their cart and make it ready, and they can then start ordering once the sale is live. So in such a scenario, ideally you would see that uh, there are customers coming they would come in a little before the sale, try to browse, search for products, add to cart, and these sort of operations might be done even before the sale starts. And then when towards the sale, the traffic could increase, and then when the sale begins, there could be a peak load that you might experience. So in such a situation, it is good to test at each of these load volumes, how is your uh, application responding. So this mimics the real world scenario. So you can uh, determine at which load exactly the system starts degrading. In case it was good at, say, 1,000 users, it was good, but at 2,000 users, you see that there was a drop in performance, then you can catch exactly what is the capacity of the system. It also allows you to establish benchmarks at different load levels. So you might not need so much performance, so much capacity at all times. So you might need it for like a sale or something, but at uh, regular time, you might not need so high performance. So you can establish what is the benchmarks that you want at different point in times. You can also get insights into how your system is scaling. So since you are increasing the load gradually, you can also see if you have any auto scale that you have configured. You can make sure that that is working as well along with when you are load testing. Uh, so basically, let's see how you can do this using JMeter. So I'll just switch my screen and I'll show you what the JMeter script could look like for this. So this is a demo website. So this is a demo website that I have. This is the .NET podcast website. Here, this is just a website where you can search for podcasts, you can listen to podcasts, and um, you can do that here. So let's try to see how we will load test this today. So this is the step load test that we are talking about. So as you can see, this is the load pattern here. In few steps, I'm gradually increasing the load. So for this demo performance, it is just for a few seconds I'm holding this. But in your ideal situation, you would want to hold it for maybe some more time. So what you can do is you can easily mimic this sort of a load pattern using the ultimate thread group of JMeter. So you can just install the plugin manager. This is a native plugin that JMeter has. So you can just install that plugin, and here you can see that you can configure different loads at different point in time. So as you can see, I started with say 40 threads, and here each thread in JMeter is a virtual user. So if you say 40 threads, it means that 40 virtual users are concurrently sending requests to your endpoint, and each thread basically sends a request and waits for the response, and then again continues that throughout the uh, life of the thread. So as you can see here, I have configured an initial load of 40, and I hold it for this is 500 seconds is my entire duration of my load test. So the initial load, I'm holding it till the end, and then gradually I keep on increasing uh, at certain intervals. So after 60 seconds, I introduced another 40 users, and I hold it for 440, which is the rest of the time of the test. So I keep doing this for I have 5 steps here. I keep doing this until I reach my peak load, and then I hold my peak load for some time. So you can easily uh, mimic this in JMeter using the ultimate thread group. And as you can see, this is a very simple test, which is basically testing the demo website that we saw. It's testing the podcast page, the home page, discover page, search page. It's a just an HTTP request. It's also you also have a CSV data set here. So this is the test. I just have modified the load pattern here to mimic a step load. So now let's see how we can run this in Azure Load Testing. I go to my resource. So this is my Azure Load Testing resource. Basically, the resource is where you can create all your tests. It's like a hub where you have all your tests configured. You can create more than you can create a lot of tests, and within the test you have the test runs as well. So let's take a look at what. So the here I have already created this step load test. So let's just take a look at what that looks like. So it's a very simple test. I just uploaded my JMeter file, which is the script that we just saw, which has configured the load pattern. And then I also uploaded a CSV file. You can add any of your parameters, or you can then configure how much load. So as you can see here in the JMeter script, we configured certain number of users. Now, the benefit of running this on Azure Load Testing is you can really reach very high scales based on how much is your requirement. So like I see here, I had like at peak, I had 200 users. Now, if I say four engines here, I can reach 1,000 users. So basically, sorry, 800 users. So 200 into 4 is what would be my target load. So that's how you can configure the number of engines that you want. And then if you have any test criteria, you can define here. I've defined my error percentage, and my threshold is 20%. So I have defined that. Most importantly, um, if you have your application deployed in Azure, you should configure your uh, app components. So I can just search for what are my app components. As you can see, I have like app service, have storage, I have container apps, I have SQL DBs as well for my website. So I can just add all of that here. And so here is when your real like monitoring benefits kick in. So once you have all of these configured here, when the test is running, you can see what is happening on the server side as well. And we'll take a quick look at that. So you can just apply and run the test now. I had run this test previously, so let's take a look at what that looks like. So as you can see, I run this test and this test also failed. So let's see what was happening during this test. So this test ran, as you can see, there's this step load. So for each of this, the load just increased gradually as I had configured in my JMeter script. And you can see how the response time was at different uh, peak load. As you can see that there was like a sort of a cold start. Then it stabilized for a while. As the load kept increasing, at some point there was always this high response times that my application was seeing. And then at the peak load, again, I see that there were high response times. Similarly, I see errors. There were a few errors in the beginning. The errors kept on increasing after some point of time. So there's definitely an issue with high scale, that my application is not able to maybe take so much of load. Now, I want to look at what exactly was the issue with my application. So let me take a look at the server side metrics that I had configured. So as you can see, you can, for all the app components that you had added, you get to see what are the server side, and these are just the default metrics configured. You can always configure more metrics by clicking on the configure metrics. Um, so I just look at this. So I see here that for my app service, this is my app service plan. I see that as the load increased in steps, the CPU percentage really peaked, and at the peak load, it was at 100%, which means that probably I would want to increase the CPU capacity for my app service. So I might want to upgrade the SKU and use a higher SKU to make sure that my application can take so much load. So as you can see, the memory as well was pretty high throughout the test. So I can see that memory also could be an issue, but it's very clear that CPU at some point um, was an issue for the app service. Similarly, I see for my DB as well, as the number of virtual users increased. I see that at some point it peaked again. It was 400%. So like 4 cores, so it reached 400%. So now I can understand from here that both my SQL DB and my uh, app service needs some increase in the number of cores and maybe in memory. So this is how I can identify at, I can see that, say, hey, at The first two steps, maybe it was fine. For third and fourth, maybe my app service was not responding. So I can say that, hey, is it if I'm okay with less number of uh, like if I'm expecting just less number of people using my website, then I'm okay with um, the current SKU. But if I want to be able to sustain peak loads, then I might want to consider upgrading. So this is how you can identify what was the bottleneck. At each step, you can see how was your system behaving. And if you hold it for a longer time, that will give you more better insights. So this is how you can use the step load. Now let's move on to the next type. So we saw a demo on this. So next is the spike load. So a spike load basically simulates sudden and significant increase to your load, creating like a rapid spike in the load on the system. And as you can see in the picture here, you have a constant load for some time, and then suddenly you increase the users. You can hold this for a while as well, and then it decreases back. Again, you have this point where there is a sudden increase in the users, and again it comes back to normal. So this helps you assess how is the behavior and stability of your system in extreme conditions. So there could be for example, if you want to think about scenarios where this will be helpful, is uh, if there is traffic surges during, say, there is a flash sale, or there's a promotion, or some event, and you expect that there could be a sudden surge in traffic to your website, then it's important that you um, test for like a sudden increase in spike. So this is also a realistic traffic during events like flash sales and all. It helps you in testing failover mechanisms and recovery strategies. So if you have, if in for example, if one of the server crashes, you want to make sure that you know how long it takes to come back online or something like that. So this helps you understand that during these extreme conditions, what could be the behavior of your system. It also helps you evaluate if there's a load balancer and there's sudden influx of users. How what is the efficiency of that? It also helps you minimize the service outages during these critical periods. So it's important for you to focus on this testing for these reasons. So moving ahead, let's look at how you can uh, do a spike load. So let me go back to Gmeter and open my spike load testing. So this is again for the same podcast website, we are trying to have a spike load test. So as you can see here, this is again the ultimate thread group. Ultimate thread group can be used to create any pattern that you would want to. So let's see how you can do a spike load. So spike load is like is like a variant, I would say, of the uh, step load. So what I've done is I have started with 50 users, and that's my constant load that I have started with, and I've held it for 400 seconds, which is my test duration. And then at some point, after I have established my constant load, I introduce a spike. This spike is 4 times of what is my uh, constant load. So I make it 200, and then um, the spike load, okay, the total spike is 250, so I add 200 virtual users to this, and then I hold it for some time. So this then after some time this reduces, and then it goes back to normal. So this helps you identify what happens when your system experiences this spike, and then how is if there's any recovery or any crash or any recovery, how does that happen, and then once it comes back to normal, is it performing as expected. So this is how you can create a JMeter script that helps you create this pattern. Now let's go to Azure Load Testing and see how you can run this. So yeah, it's a similar test. I have just uploaded my JMeter script for the spike load, and I have uploaded the configuration file. Let's look at uh, the first. Okay, let's look at this. This is my test run. My test run passed, as I can see. Yeah, so my failure criteria was 20% error, and it was below that, so that is good. As you can see here, the load is what we very similar to what we see in the JMeter script. So there was a constant load. So I ran this on 5 engines. So 5 into 250, 50 into 5 was 250 users at a constant I started with, and then I see a spike of 5x, and then this reduced. Now, as you can see here, it's very clear that the response time as well is in the same pattern. That means that the response time significantly increased when I introduced a spike. So, if there is say a flash sale and there are a lot of users coming to my website, definitely my website is going to uh, have a very poor performance if there's a flash sale or something of that sorts. So as you can see, the errors as well. There were errors for the podcast page, but for the home page, discover page, the errors were very low, and then at some point everything started throwing errors. So and there was not really good recovery as well. As you can see that still there were after effects of the spike towards the end of the test as well. There were a lot of errors. I can go and look into now what happened in the server side. I can see that definitely there could be something that went wrong. As you can see here, again, the CPU, it was fine initially, but when I introduced the spike, the CPU peaked. The memory has been again high constantly, so definitely I will need to increase the memory as well as the CPU. I see that for my database as well. When the spike happened, it quickly peaked and it reached 400%. And then the recovery was not really good because it was still around 300%, which could have been better. But this is something that I will need to see if there's some after effects of the spike as well. So this is how you can look at the server side metrics and understand what happened when there was a spike in the load and what happened after the spike. Was your system able to recover? Was there still errors? Were if the performance, the response time was all right afterwards? You can try to identify which component was say maxing out and where you would need to fix any issues. Yeah. So yeah, moving on. Just to recap, spike load test helps you understand how if a sudden surge in users can affect your performance of your applications, and it is basically helps you in identifying issues at high scale. Yeah, moving on to the next one. So this is breakpoint testing. Breakpoint testing is basically when you load a large number of concurrent users and try to fail the server resources. So it basically you want to identify at what point your system starts to exhibit some sort of performance degradation. So you want to see like what are the limits of your resources. So you try to you try to basically intentionally fail the system. Intentionally, maybe you want to see what is the breaking point, at which point does uh, your uh, website start crashing, and you want to it also helps you set up some monitoring alerts for these load levels. So breakpoint testing is important if you want to make sure that you have the correct alerting failure recovery mechanisms in place, and it will help you identify what is your system capacity. So if you want to increase it, you would be able to identify how you can increase that. So let's look at what you how you can do breakpoint testing. So in breakpoint testing, basically what you can do is uh, you can gradually start increasing the load, and just keep on increasing the load until the end of the test. So for example, I say 250 is my number of threads that I'm setting here. So say 250 users is what I want uh, to achieve at the end of the test. I set the ramp up period equal to the duration. So basically I'm saying for 30 minutes, which is 1800 seconds, I keep on ramping up the load to 250 in this case. So uh, so it would look like there's just a linear increase in the load, which keeps on increasing till the end of the test. So what you can, as you can see in Azure Load Testing, let's see how this looks like. So this is a breakpoint test, and I have two runs for this. I'll take you through both. So in the first run, I just ran with a lower skew. As you can see, this is how the load looks like. So you keep on increasing the load until some a high max load that you can set. So throughout the test, it just keeps on increasing your load, and you can then see if at any point your system starts to degrade. So as you can see, pretty early, the application started giving errors, and it continued throughout the test. So I didn't feel that this current skew was any good. So what I did is I went and increased, I upgraded the skew for my app service, and I ran the test again. uh, so let's see. uh, So as you can see, earlier in the earlier one, yeah, there were errors, but let me just show you how the memory and the CPU look like. Yeah, so as you can see here, the CPU very quickly maxed out. The memory was constantly 80%. Uh, the DB as well was almost for 400% most of the time. After I upgraded the SKU for my app service, the memory looked okay. So let me just show you how. So the memory looked okay. The CPU as well was like below 30%. The memory was below 20%, which is fine. But I see that still my DB is maxing out. So basically, I could understand that how I could fix the app service issues. Now I can maybe go and take a look at how I can fix the DB issues. Maybe I can increase the cores, number of cores in for my DB as well, and maybe that will help in increasing the improving the performance. But as you can see, as the load increased, the number of errors just kept on increasing. So definitely, at some point, it has crossed my acceptable level of error rate. So I would have to go and fix that. So as you can see, even the response time just keeps on increasing uh, linearly almost with the load. So that's not a really a good sign. So I would want to go and fix. And in this case, I see that my database is the bottleneck. So I would want to go and fix my database. So this is how you can identify at what point you feel that it's crossing your acceptable thresholds. If you are okay with that much load, then you should be good. Otherwise, if you feel that no, your application should be able to handle more, then you should definitely go and um, fix the issues that you have identified from here. Yeah. So that was about breakpoint testing. Again, a quick recap on breakpoint testing. Breakpoint testing is where you are intentionally trying to fail the server side resources to make sure that you can the application can respond to any crashes, or you want to identify at what point your application is starting to degrade. So the next one is a different sort of a test. It's called a soak test. It's also called an endurance test. You might have heard about endurance tests. So this is basically where you want to subject your system to a sustained load over an extended duration. So you would want to run it for a longer duration. So recently in Azure Load Testing, we have introduced the ability to run tests to up to 24 hours, and for a soak test you would require a longer duration of test. So what do you look at for in a soak test? So in a soak test you will basically want to see over a prolonged usage, how does your resource utilization look like? Is there any memory leaks, any resource exhaustions, things that happen over a long time and not cannot be found out if you just do like a 30-minute test. So it's important that you test for this because your website is constantly being used by users. So you want to make sure that at the end of the day there's no issues because your application is being used continuously. So if you see it also helps you identify if the performance is degrading during some specific times of the day, or if there is any scheduled process that is affecting the performance of your application. Is there any session management issues with your application? So these things you'd be able to discover if you do a soak test. So let's see how you can do a soak test using JMeter and Azure Load Testing. So I'll quickly open my it's a very simple, I use just a normal thread group here. It's a simple test. I don't want to test for a lot of users. It's a soak test. It's not needed that you have a very high scale testing here. So you can basically use like less number of load, but you want to run it for a longer duration. So I've used say 50 threads here, and I say duration is 24 hours, and you can upload this now to run a load test on a soak test on Azure Load Testing. You might have to raise. So as you can see, we do mention here that you can raise a support ticket to increase the limits for your subscription. So you can create a support ticket, request a raise in your quotas. So you'll be able to see what is your existing quota here. So if you can uh, check that and then create a support ticket to increase. Once that is increased, you will be able to run a soap test. So it's as simple. You can upload your JMeter script and then you can run a test for 24 hours. As you can see, this is my test run. I ran this for 24 hours. Now, one thing that you should keep in mind when you're running a test for 24 hours is that you might not have the ability right now to download the uh, uh, results file. So it's important if you want all the uh, uh, data of the client side JMeter requests, then you should add a backend listener. Backend listeners allow you to stream your metrics into a backend store. So there are listeners for different type of backend stores. For example, there's Azure Application Insights to which you can stream your metrics to. You can do it in InfluxDB that JMeter supports natively. So you can use any of the backend listeners, and you can get your metrics if you require it to be analyzed or debugged further, or if you want to build any custom dashboards. Let's look at how this 24-hour test went. So if you see, uh, there was it ran for there 50 users ran um, for 24 hours, uh, and yeah, basically you can see that there were some sort of uh, the memory percentage was constantly like 60%. I don't see like any out of memory issues or something. Uh, it was pretty constant throughout. So at some point, maybe uh, right now it looks good to me, but in a realistic scenario, there could be issues where this is just a demo website. So in a real life application, there could be some things that are happening during the day that could lead to some issues, or there is that constant, if you're writing to a disk or something, then there could be issues that can occur over a prolonged usage. So so tests help you discover those sort of issues, if and that will help you basically identify if there's something that you should fix. Uh, yeah, to be able to avoid any sort of memory leaks or um, uh, any sort of issues that can happen over time. So these are some major scenarios that we wanted to talk about. Again, a quick recap is soak tests help you identify any memory leaks, resource exhaustions, performance degradations over a prolonged usage. So it helps you in it helps you basically in the system's long-term reliability and performance. So yeah. So now let's take a quick look into some other performance tests. These are um, what other types of testing you could do. One is have geographically distributed load. So if you expect your customers or users to be in different locations across the world, then it's important that you should also test for the same. So what you could do in Azure load testing is you can have run concurrent test runs from different locations, and you can simulate a similar sort of a pattern from different regions. Um, right now, Azure load testing is present in quite a few regions, around 14 regions. So you can simulate loads from different regions to make sure that you are able to see what is the experience of customers in different parts of the world. Uh, Also, you do definitely have to test your end-to-end application, but also it's important to test specific application components. For example, if you have a database, you can test your database separately. If you have, say, event hubs or service bus or any messaging or queuing sort of application component, you can test that as well separately. The idea of testing these individual components is that these can be used across different applications. So it's important to do individual testing for these as well, so that you know what is if there's an issue with that specific component. Other types of testing, and you can do this using other tools, are one is fault injections. So fault injections helps you introduce certain faults. You can use Azure Chaos Studio for that. You can inject certain faults, create experiments, inject fault, and see how your system is behaving for that particular fault. We will do a session in the next upcoming sessions where you can see how you can use Chaos Studio as well as load testing, and see how you can basically build resilient applications. You can also do end-to-end UI testing. So while load testing helps you understand how your how is your APIs or how is your website responding. But if you want to really understand what was the user experience during the surge or the increase in load, it's also important that you do end-to-end UI testing. You can use Playwright to basically do end-to-end UI testing. So you can search for Playwright. Playwright.dev has um, uh, uh, is like a framework that you can use for testing your UI as well. Yes, so I think we are almost towards the end. These are some resources that you can refer to. ak.ms/malt docs is all the documentation that we have on the service. We have some good content coming on the Malt blog, so you can see there are already a lot of blog posts that we published, and we'll keep doing that as we have new scenarios, new features, so that you can make use of that. If you want to get started with the Azure load testing, just uh, go to ak.ms load testing slash create, and you can create a resource and get started with your load testing journey. So yeah, with that, uh, if there are any questions, we can take that. I see just one question that is just coming. So I think yeah, thanks for this question flashing on the screen right now. Do all performance bottlenecks require infrastructure upgrades? Code changes like query optimization also can be required. Yes, actually, you're right. Not everything might require a infrastructure upgrade. So code changes is something I think if you have attended the CI/CD session. So that's where you can understand if a code change has triggered the performance degradation. If you put it in your CI/CD basically and run it for every major release that you have, if you run it before uh, putting it into production, then you can understand if there was a code change that uh, cause the regression. SQL query optimizations, yes, definitely. We recommend testing your database as well separately, so you can see if the queries that you are running on your database is something that is causing issues. So definitely any of these can help. Um, uh, at the code level, once it is deployed, we may not be able to pinpoint, but definitely you can compare your performance after the code changes and make sure that you are doing regression testing to identify what was the issue. I hope that helps answer your question. Okay, if we have, uh, I think we should be good. Yeah, you can learn more here. This is a link to how you can compare test runs, so you can see if there was any regression that happened. Uh, you can compare test runs and you can see uh, how to basically go about fixing those issues. Uh, you can also refer to our blogs. So we keep writing on how we can do these different kind of scenarios. So ak.ms/mart-blogs is where you can refer to.
Also, if you have any question post today's session, you can always feel free to reach out to Nikita. Her social handles are already uploaded at the meetup page, and I'm also sharing it right now in the chat section. So uh, please feel free to reach out to her. And I think we are good for today, and we don't have any more questions, Nikita. So, thank you so much for hosting an amazing session, and thank you all for joining us today. The next session is on 5th September, same time. Please do join us, and also visit Microsoft Reactor website for more upcoming session. Feel free to use the Learn module link, which is already shared in the chat section and also displayed on the screen at the moment. It will give you access to take your learning further. Thank you all once again, and enjoy the rest of your day.